Greetings viewers, I am Eric the Car Guy, also known as ETCG1 when posting videos to this channel. And I start things off here in ETCG1 with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Please enjoy this digital confection. Today I'd like to talk about buying cheap cars. I'm sure many of you are wondering, like, Eric, you buy all these cheap cars, and what brings this up is I am currently driving my 2008 Acura TL, which I recently purchased for $200. Before that, the Acura Vigor that I was replacing, I purchased for $500. I purchased the 1999 Honda Civic for $500. I purchased the 1999 Acura RL for $200. So in essence, I'm kind of known for purchasing these quote-unquote cheap vehicles, and I'm sure some of you are wondering, like, hey, how can I do that? Well, I'll share with you how I do that, and I'm not saying my method is the only way, but we'll cover that back at the end. But the way it happens for me is my network. I don't go out looking for quote-unquote cheap cars. I mean, they find me, either a customer where I worked on their vehicle, that was the case with the Vigor, and also the case with the RL, things like that. People that I've done work for in the past, the Acura Integra is another one that wasn't quote-unquote cheap, but I feel like I got a good price. I paid $3,000 for that 2001 Acura Integra. But I waited 15 years for it, and once again, it goes back to the network. So what I'm saying is for me personally, I've never gone out into the world in search of a quote-unquote $500 car, or truck, purchased that vehicle, and then brought it back to the shop, whatever, and used it. I've never done that. What I've done is just run into people, like, for instance, this Acura TL. One of my friends that also rents space at the parking lot out in front of the shop, I ran into him randomly one day at the post office, and he's like, I'm thinking about buying this car for my daughter. It's this 2008 Acura TL, and he only wants $200 for it. And I said, listen, man, if you're gonna put your young daughter in a vehicle, I would seriously think about putting her in a luxury vehicle that you're purchasing for $200. Now, I haven't seen the car. I don't know what kind of shape it's in, anything like that, but I can say that it is a quote-unquote luxury vehicle, and luxury vehicles, well, the parts aren't always cheap, so you might be looking at a significant repair bill on top of that. I can't say just from this conversation. He's like, yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Are you interested? Well, I said, sure, I'm interested. I mean, in any vehicle, I was actually thinking about looking for an Acura TL of this vintage to replace the Vigor, because the Vigor, like I said, was starting to show its age, and parts were getting hard to find. But anyway, that's the story of this car, and basically a classic illustration of what it has been for me to purchase used vehicles at this price point. But it comes with a caveat, and that is, don't expect that $200 or that $500 is going to cover the cost of that vehicle to make it running and drivable. In fact, at this point, I believe I've invested somewhere close to $2,000 in this car to bring it up to speed, to make it into something that I feel is reliable enough for me to quote-unquote daily. So don't think because you're purchasing it for that price that it's going to be a quote-unquote usable vehicle. I've talked about this in the past also, and I will do a video in the future on what the actual cost of this TL was. And also, I've shot a slew of videos on the work that I did, which was significant. A bunch of engine work, some rear struts, and all this other stuff that video has already been shot for. I just need to put it together and edit it. But that being said, don't expect that quote-unquote cheap vehicle to just cost, that $200. Expect that it's going to cost you a lot more. And if you're not like me and don't have access to a shop and equipment and all those other kind of things, you might not have the ability to do some of those repairs on your own. So this needs to be taken into account when you're purchasing vehicles at this price point. And this thing's all beat up, and there isn't a quarter panel or a fender on this car that isn't dented or scratched or something, and personally I like that because I don't have to worry about it. But there's things that you're going to have to put up with at quote-unquote this price point. So don't think that you're going to buy a $200 car, get in, turn the key, and drive away. That's rare. In fact, I was surprised at how well this car turned out after I did the work that I did, because I was expecting more. Anyway, that's how I buy cheap cars. That's how I run into them. It's the network. It's not me doing anything. It's not, anytime I go looking for something like this, it's not around. It's when I'm not looking that it just suddenly shows up in my life as the story that I relayed to you. How about you? Have you purchased very affordable vehicles in the past? And if so, what was your method? How did it come about? Were you looking in the paper or something? Did you have a different experience other than what I've said in this video? That's what comments are for. Please share your experience. Now, down in the description, I'll put additional links and things to other videos and related information. I'm also going to put a link to ericthecarguy.com, which is where I ask that you go if you have any automotive questions, things like that. Link down in the description. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with the world. Super appreciate it when you do that. Super appreciate it when you do that. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.